New American Liberty League, listen. I know I don't have the face for videos or the voice for podcast. So to both of you that are going to watch this for the first 6 minutes and then click off, I'm sorry. I am Daniel Leonardo Hernandez D. Hearn. This is my son, Emil Alexander Hernandez, in whom I am well pleased. Big topic today. We're going to get into the importance of Jews and Christians sticking together this election and truly being one. In the news today, obviously, we got to get into the election, the interview, the dinner, a lot of things going on in Israel also. In the capitalist pig section, we're going to get into the importance of being able to take advantage of red markets and red situations. And in life, we're actually going to talk about the same thing. We're going to add a couple things about the code and also about the America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. But let's start with our big topic today. Christians and Jews are one people, one God, one book, and whether you believe it or not, one Messiah and Savior. I could get into this in 100 different ways, but for today, I'm going to talk about the importance of us being one when we vote. I think this election cycle has made it clearer than ever that we have to vote as one. We are running, in earthly terms, we are running against a political party in America and a worldwide movement that is ungodly, that is proud to support abortion, that is proud to turn your kids gay every chance they get, that is proud to remove God and fathers from homes, that is proud to remove God from schools, the media, movies, books, songs, that is proud to abandon Israel, not just this American administration, not just the left in America, but worldwide. We are voting and fighting against a party that is truly ungodly and proudly so. So for this election, my Christian brothers and sisters, my Jewish brothers and sisters, we truly have to move as one. In a Kamala Harris crowd the other day, there was a group of pro-life Democrats, which I didn't even know was a group. At some point, they shouted, "Jesus is Lord." And Kamala said to them, "You are at the wrong rally." Christians and Jews, if you truly put God above politics and you still are voting Democrat, you are at the wrong rally. Listen to her. They mean what they say. This election, we have to be one. Emil, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, listen, for her sake, I really hope she misheard, because that would be, like, really bad on her end if she heard that properly and still said that. With this being said, we still have to get away from the party that supports killing babies, turning your kids gay. If you consider yourself a godly person, you can't be connected with that. There is some part of the Bible, I'm not sure exactly where it's located, but it says something along the lines of, the more you know, the more you will be judged, or something along those lines. If you consider yourself a Christian, or you consider yourself a Jew, we know that these things aren't okay. And to go and vote for them would be an act against God, in my opinion. And we have to take it as such. Guys, we cannot vote Democrat this year. It's not just for politics. It's evil. It is evil to vote Democrat. They are going to send your taxpayer dollars to places like Planned Parenthood, to starting wars, to sending your 18-year-old kids right into a war. Guys, we have to look at this as what it is. It's not Democrats versus Republicans. It is good versus evil. And we have to look at it as such. Even if you don't think Republicans are necessarily the party of good or right-winged as what we would like it to be, we have to see Democrats for what they are, which is truly anti-American and anti-God, and we have to look at them as such.
Absolutely right. Some things are bigger than politics. Sponsor this half hour. It is Cancer Awareness Month. We usually, like we said before, we usually don't try to shout out big companies, big corporations, but there is a great company making great strides in the fight against breast cancer. Atossa Therapeutics sponsor this half hour. It is important to talk with your money and the way you invest. Atossa Therapeutics. News, Emil. Israel killed the Hamas leader, the mastermind of October 7th this past week. I love how aggressive they're being. Any thoughts on that whole situation, Emil?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think Israel is proving a point on a world stage that they will not tolerate being messed with in the way that they have been. And look, throughout history, the world is actively against Israel for thousands of years. And it's good that they're defending themselves right now. I think it's proving a point. I think the best thing that they did this past year, obviously now it's been officially 1 year, over 1 year since the October 7th attack. I think the best thing they did this past year was not listen to the Biden administration. When the Biden administration was calling for a ceasefire, if Israel went ahead and accepted that, it would have shown the terrorists that they can mess with them over and over again, and Israel will just back down. But I think the way they did it, terrorists will have to think twice before messing with Israel.
Absolutely. Also in the news, obviously, the election. Fox did a interview with Harris earlier this week. I thought, for being the party of joy, she is not a joyful person. I also thought, one thing I always like to bring up is how frustrated I am with our side. And Bret Baier, even though it may have been her hardest interview yet, that is not saying much. Bret Baier let her off the hook a lot. The one thing you would be excited about to see her actually come on Fox or do a hard interview is someone that would hold her feet to the fire. I know he had a lot of restrictions on him time-wise, but he's a softie, and it was another soft interview that she was able to not really answer any questions. Emil, did you see the interview, and what were your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I seen the interview. I watched it with you.
Oh.
My takeaways on the interview was, I think to start, she only took the interview because it was Bret Baier. I think he kind of has that more like, he tries to be a centrist type vibe, kind of plays devil advocate on whatever show he's on.
Right.
And I think even with the softballs he was throwing her, she still was getting mad. So imagine what's going to happen on a world stage when somebody actually puts her under pressure. Imagine her talking to somebody like President Z or somebody at negotiations, and he's really putting like a hardball on her. She's going to crumble. I think she's going to crumble.
Yep.
And I think that interview showed it. She got mad in the first, 5 minutes?
Right
of that
away.
interview?
This is the moment he brought up immigration.
Yeah. very early on, and I think that would be horrible for negotiations. I think that would just be horrible for anything on a world stage. And the other thing I want to mention here was...
Let me help you out. Let me help you out because you talked to me earlier about it.
Yeah.
You brought up the fact that when you're a woman running for president, you have to go out of your way not to look emotional.
Yes, and as a man, you don't really have to do that. It's a lot easier just to kind of take things on the chin and go past it. But it was like everything he was saying, it felt like a personal attack on her instantly instead of on her policy. And yeah, I think that's going to hurt her in the long run.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look for her. Even though, like we said, it was a soft interview, it still looked bad on her. The other thing surrounding the election, one of the other things surrounding the election that was big this week was the Al Smith dinner. Is that what the name of it?
Yes, Al Smith.
I think, obviously her no showing was just a bad look. Let me again criticize our side. I think Trump was actually it was written for him, most of it, I believe. And I think there was actually funny parts in there. The crowd was behind him. He really had some good lines in there. But you could tell he was not comfortable reading off a script. It slowed him down. It was, that's not his zone. That's not his comfort zone, having to read something. But, I think it just looked so much better. And nothing else really mattered other than the fact that he was there. I think that just is a better look for him, especially at that Catholic fundraising dinner. Thoughts on the dinner?
Yeah, I totally agree. I had a lot of fun watching that, actually. We were at work out of town, and we came back to our hotel, and I thought there would be absolutely nothing to do. That actually made for a really great night.
Yeah.
I do think Trump looked bad reading off the script. I just don't think it fits his personality. But he gave a great reason for the day after. He's been at so many campaign things, he just didn't have time to write his own script this time. And I thought that was a fair reasoning. I thought that Kamala skit that she showed was absolutely horrible, and I don't think that went over well with anyone.
Oof, that was bad.
I think it also shows how well connected Trump is in the political sphere. He knew absolutely everyone there. He was mentioning all kind of New York names, Democrats, Republicans. He was like, in the first election, I was inexperienced. I didn't know all these people, and I still managed to win.
Right.
Now, I know all of these people.
Yeah.
And the one thing he talked about was with advisors. I wasn't sure who to pick on advisors, which is the main complaint we had about him. He picked Fauci, he picked all these people.
Pence.
He says this time, although I don't think J.D. Vance was a good VP pick necessarily, he's turned out okay, but I think his advisors are going to be a lot stronger. He already has Musk on the team.
That's big.
RFK on the FDA, I think, is a good fit.
Make America healthy again. That's a huge issue. Should be.
I think that solved really well for him, and I think he's going to win in the religious sector. And I think he's actively been campaigning in New York, and I think he's going to make New York close. I think it's going to be very close.
It's almost like what Emil's talking about with his experience from his first term. And I know this is hard for us to think about, but it's almost like him losing 2020, not losing, but him being robbed of 2020 may end up being a good thing for him in this next term if he were to win. Just a little silver lining. Also, like we talked about earlier, a really, really bad look for Kamala. If I was Trump, this would be on every commercial from here to Election Day. Jesus is Lord. You're at the wrong rally. That is a really, really bad look for her. And I think in most other eras or decades or times in American history, that would have been the end. You would never see that woman again after this election. She would have no chance at the election. And that goes to show, now that you could make a gaffe like that and still get away with it, that goes to show how far removed we are from God in this nation, because at another time that would have ended her campaign.
Yeah. I think her stance on abortion a long time ago would have instantly ended her campaign.
Yes.
Even on the Democrat side.
Yes.
Because Democrats used to be a lot more pro-life than what they are now.
And if not pro-life, at least at one time there were abortion with restrictions. Now they're loud and proud about it with absolutely no restrictions, which is something I would have loved to seen Bret Baier ask her about. Anyway, fake sponsor this half hour, Mossad. Fake sponsor this half hour, Mossad. The only good terrorist is a dead terrorist. Mossad. Fake sponsor this half hour. Emil, capitalist pig section. In life, in investing, in business, and all these things, it is important to be able to work yourself to get to a position where you are able to take advantages of the bad times, the red times, the down times. It is as an investor, that's like you said earlier, that's when millionaires, billionaires are truly made. The moves you make in the red, in the bad times, make you rich in the good times. Yeah, expand on that, Emil. Any thoughts on that?
Listen, there's a saying in stocks, which is buy low, sell high. And you're never going to get a chance to buy low unless there's bad times. We have to look at bad times, not necessarily as bad times, but more so as opportunity times. And a lot of people call it luck when somebody gets to take advantage in those times. But really, it's normally from hard work. It's up to you to put your family in a position where you can take advantage during the red times. Mm-hmm. Most people are struggling during these times and all of that, but if you put in the hard work beforehand, you may still struggle a little bit, but you can also invest and, like you said, make yourself a millionaire on the back end of it when times are good.
That's right. In the business we do and the businesses we have and what we do, up until that point, the best year I ever had was the COVID years. 2 years in a row, we were working every day, more so because there were so many people not working. At that point, we had more than we could handle. We ended up with more work than we could handle. We even ended up with some properties because of COVID. And it was just a really good time for us. Now, let me get into the life section and stay on the same topic. Right now, with all the storms that just passed Florida, we again have more work than we can handle. We're getting calls from Pensacola to Tampa. And a question I have for a lot of you that are maybe in this same situation or have been in this same situation is how do you reconcile that? I've never prayed for $1, but I pray for opportunities every day. And in times of people struggling, here we are, and people like us, presented with great opportunities. And sometimes that's a hard thing for me to justify. If any of you have any thoughts or experiences on this, I would love to hear from you. I think the two things that make it okay within myself is my philosophy of the more you make, the more you give, and you have to stick to that. And my philosophy that God's will is perfect. And with that said, it's still, it's still hard to see people in these situations. Emil, we went to a community right after the first hurricane. We went to a community that was gone. We were there to look at 2 roofs, and it felt empty. It felt empty. It felt weird. So we thoughts on that experience and just the situation and the idea of it in general. Yeah,
in specific to our situation was sad. You saw people crying over where their houses were. All you saw was stone slabs in the one community because there was only one house left, and that was the house that we went to look at.
Yep.
had conversations with people. This one woman was like, yeah, this is where my house was. And I was like, oh, man.
With that said, we actually we didn't know the situation there. We actually took extra tarps for people, and we were planning on helping.
There just was nothing left to help.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, out of our specific context, to know that you can make a lot of money during these times. And as long as you're being godly, helping others, and specifically with what we do, it's not like we're making money by tearing these people down. We're making money by building them back up.
That's right.
And I think that's the important thing to look at, is you never want to be the guy making money by tearing people down. That is bordering on like evil, and at least not morally right. Mm-hmm. You always want to be the guy who helps build people back up, so that way y'all both win.
Right. You're taking advantage of opportunities. You're not taking advantage of people.
And I think there's an important distinction there to be made.
Right. In everything, including, or maybe even especially in business, because business is what you do day to day. There is a godly way to do everything, and in business, it's very important. Pray, build, bless. Couple other things I want to get to really quickly in the life section. It's the week of Sukkot. This is relatively new to us in the last few years. Mm-hmm. What we do in our family, we keep it very simple. Every night during Sukkot, we try to eat dinner. If not dinner, some kind of snack, fruits, yogurt, whatever. We try to eat outside throughout the week. We also try to read from Exodus. Even though I believe Sukkot was first mentioned in Leviticus, right?
I believe
Leviticus, but the inspiration to it came from the 40 years in the desert in Exodus. So that's what we do. So happy Sukkot to anybody who celebrates it. If you don't celebrate it, celebrate it. Christians, celebrate it. Why not? It's the first 5 books of your Bible. One God. On a lighter note, let me bring this up. For the love of America and for the love of God, Jerry Jones, sell America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. You are horrible. If it wasn't for the Jimmy Johnson years, which you completely ruined, you would maybe be the worst owner in all of sports. And you wouldn't even be an owner still if it wasn't for the Jimmy Johnson years, which were 30 years ago. Cowboy fans. Everybody's a Cowboy fan, right? Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much everybody's a Cowboy fan. Listen, we have to get real and serious about calling for this man to sell the team. What did you think about the game last week? We looked pretty good.
The game last week was a blowout. We got killed. And I think if we even make it to the playoffs this year, which is very questionable, it's not seeming like we will.
No.
We're likely just to get to the first round like we've been getting. Listen, I don't think Jerry Jones manages this team well. Signing Dak for however much he just signed for.
The highest paid player ever.
That's ridiculous. He is not worth that amount. And in the beginning when we had Dak, it was different because we saw potential there. We were like, okay, we're getting a new quarterback.
Let's see what happens.
Let's give him a few years. Now he's had something like 8 years, I believe. We've seen it. He doesn't have the potential to get us to a Super Bowl.
Jerry, America's going through a lot right now. We need America's team to be good. It's time to sell, dude. It's time to move on.
I haven't seen them in a Super Bowl in my entire lifetime. I haven't even seen them in a championship before the Super Bowl in my entire lifetime.
Listen, the election is weeks away. Early voting has started across the nation. It's about to start in Florida. Go vote. It's imperative. I know we're jaded from the robbery that happened in 2020. It's out of our control. What is in our control is to get to the voting booth. We have to vote. Go vote. Support us. Support the Facebook page. Support the YouTube channel. Support conservative businesses. Support DJT. Go vote. Most importantly, go vote. And we are the new American Liberty League.
Saving the Republic, one listener at a time.